After last week's post where I mentioned some of the platforms where you can find a potential gaming community for your upcoming game, this week we move on to some tips of how to develop your game successfully, what to do, what to not do during the developing journey of your game. Tip number one, your first game should never be your best possible game that you can create. So, the first game or the first few games should not be games that you have worked your entire life on, that you have dreamed your entire life on. They can just be cheap games for you to start collecting some resources and some audience, especially some budget for your best game that you can create in the future then. After launching some random games and gathering some budget and fans, now it's time to focus on your dream game. It's important to create many beta versions, especially of your dream game, in order to seek some investment funds from big developers so that the final version of the game turns out even better. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that funding is key, and there are plenty of developers out there that are willing to invest in new games. So you can focus your resources and your ideas into that area. Tip number two, do not focus your entire life on the game. As you may know, there are plenty of new games now in the gaming industry, and there are plenty of engines that make gaming developing easy. So, no matter how good your concept is, it can never be 100% sure that your game will be successful. So, having a stable job, a stable life while working on your first game is always a good start. What's important during this stage, however, is that you can always count your extra hours you're working in developing your game in some type of measurement, however you like it. So, like, it can be also like hourly rate, so you can count yourself that one extra hour that you work on developing your game will cost you $10. So, let's say you are willing to work on your upcoming game 2 hours on a daily basis, you're basically spending $20 every day. Why this is then important in the end is that somehow then you know how many hours, these imaginary hours, have you spent during the entire process of developing your game. And then you can equal that into money currency. So let's say you have spent $10,000 in that game, and then you somehow know what to expect from it. So, like, if you expect from it to be successful, if you have average expectations, something like that. So, you know what to expect from your game. The next tip, or the third tip, is to not develop everything on your own. No matter how talented you are in coding or whatever high level of creativity you own, making the game from scratch is always a bad idea, especially if you are in low budget and that is your first game. So why? Because you have limited resources, not only money wise, but also time wise. Think of all the money and time you can basically save if you just don't do everything yourself or everything from scratch. There is ton of coding out there that you can just copy paste and then adopt it to your game. But not only that, but also designing, let's say, weapons if your game is a shooting game, or the ambience or the skins, whatever is necessary for a game. It can basically be found on some um, asset stores like Unity asset stores. You can basically find bundles of weapons, of skins of weapons for cheap, like $10, $20, and then you can even change them a little bit with rendering programs and then use for a game. Also, for developing your game, there are two main developing engines that are constantly used. That's Unity and Unreal Engine. And there's a lot of heated debate in which one is better than the other because both have amazing free features. And it's not necessary for you to choose one or the other, it's just a preference of yours. But my suggestion is that if you are making an indie game, you can use Unity. But if you are making a more complex game, Unreal Engine is better. But again, that's all up to you. Tip number four, fan community is key. Building a fan community is necessary these days to progress as a company and especially as a gaming developer. Reaching out to your fans on a daily basis with news regarding or related with your new game or something, just something that is funny and creates a fan base around you makes all the difference at the end. You must be also looking at giving promotional codes or free access codes to some of your loyal customers so that you can keep them as loyal customers also in your future projects. Building a fan base is all about being consistent, giving out quality content, using some hashtags, which in the end will make you successful. Tip number 5, learn how to sell your game. Marketing is everything in the world right now, in every industry, gaming industry included. It's not possible to think of an industry without thinking about digital marketing incorporated with it. And that's how marketing is related to gaming as well. But you should not consider marketing only as the classical, traditional type of marketing we are used to, because in the gaming industry, it's not only important of how you sell a game at first. It's not that you sell a game once and then it's done. You need to be created, linked now with tip number 4, a fan base. So, if you want to build a fan base, you must keep some loyal customers also for the future because that's how you progress as a company. That's why it's important to make gamers always desire your game before buying it, but also after buying it for some time. It's necessary to keep your fans always engaged and listen to their ideas for further development of the game. That's why it's necessary for you to hire someone in your company as a social media marketer. They can create a Twitter account, which would be best because that's how main gaming developers what they use at least. They can always keep posting and sharing some quality content related to the game, but why not also not trying to be funny and do something completely out of the ordinary? Everything that will create a fan base is important.